Well, friends, a prostitute once approached a Christian in the wretched straits, homeless, sick, unable to buy food for her 2-year-old daughter. Through sobs and tears, she told him she had been renting out her daughter, 2 years old, to men interested in sex. She made more money renting out her daughter than in any other way. She claimed she had to do it to support her own drug habit. He could hardly bear hearing her sordid story. For one thing, as he said, it made me legally liable, for I am required to report cases of child abuse. I had no idea what to say to this woman. At last he asked if she had ever thought of going to a church for help. He said, I will never forget the look of pure, naive shock that crossed her face. She said, church? Why would I ever go there? I'm already feeling terrible about myself. They would just make me feel worse. The image that woman had of the church is so different from the way people perceived Jesus. In Jesus' day, people fled towards him, not away from him. The worse a person felt about themselves, the more likely they saw Jesus as a refuge. Why is there so much disparity between the followers of Jesus today and Jesus himself? The difference is that Jesus came to help and save the worst of mankind. That was his main business, his main interest. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, he said. Jesus invited the vulnerable, the damaged, the losers of this world, as well as the most wicked and evil in society. He asked them to come to him. So different from the image that people today have of the church. The identity of the church has changed over the years because the followers of Jesus have not followed Jesus' example and teaching. When Jesus said his mission in the world was, I come that they might have life and have it more abundantly. He came for others. And he was defining what the ministry of believers in the world should be. I'm here for other people, he said. Not marvelous. Jesus has come that we may enjoy life here on earth as well as in the heavens, and the new heavens and the new earth. Jesus came to serve others, for he came for the vulnerable, the struggling, in order that they might find total salvation here and hereafter. People gravitated toward Jesus. He encouraged people with problems to come to him. If anyone thirsts, let him come to me and drink. Great crowds came to Jesus, bringing with them the lame, the blind, the crippled, the mute, and many others, Matthew tells us. And he put them, and they came to and lay at his feet, and he healed them. Matthew 15, verse 30. On hearing of ill people who were unable to come, such as Jairus' daughter or the centurion's servant, Jesus immediately said, I'll go to them and heal them. He went to anyone who had the least desire to meet him and to receive from him. When the disciples were frustrated with little children troubling them, Jesus said, let the children come. Let them come among us. Jesus' heart was full of compassion for people. He understood their dilemma. He wanted to help them, whether they were believers or not. He went out of his way to help all kinds, no conditions attached. Some churches when inviting people to a meal or an event, they make it a condition that people stay for the message. But Jesus was different. He was satisfied just to heal and just to help them get out of trouble and pain and suffering. Jesus does not even demand a thank you, as the 9 healed lepers demonstrated to us. Jesus was different, wasn't he? He was disappointed as well as surprised that only 1 leper had returned to acknowledge the healing. But that didn't stop him healing. And that one was not an Israelite. She was a Samaritan. All races were welcome to come and draw from Christ's storehouse of blessings, even for temporal blessings. There was no qualification necessary to ask for salvation or for healing. The reason was Jesus' heart went out to anyone in need, no matter their creed, colour, or status. Jesus had sympathy for the brokenhearted, the hurting, the wounded, and the worried. What joy and blessing he brought to that widow that he just happened to meet on the road, and who never asked him for a thing. Her world was broken, having lost her only son. And what a unrequested blessing she received when she happened to meet Jesus. What made Jesus do such wonderful things? Was it to display his almighty power in raising dead people? Was it to reveal he was the Messiah? No. It was his compassion, his feeling for others who were hurting. When we read that the Lord saw her, he had compassion on her and said, "Do not weep." And he came and touched the bier, and he rose from the dead and started speaking. Jesus was available and accessible every hour of every day, available for people of all kinds. In fact, the more vulnerable and uninviting a person was, the more interested he was in them. No ulterior motives, only being a blessing to everyone he met. That was Jesus. That is why people gravitated toward him. Might the reason why the church has lost its credibility today be that they don't have the heart of Jesus? We are far more interested in boosting our numbers and in simply helping people. Might it be that the vast majority of Christians today live in complete contrast to how Jesus lived? We too often avoid engagement with the vulnerable, the poor, the needy, the unfortunate. Jesus was so different. If we, his followers, have tasted of his grace, we ought to strive harder at being more available and accessible for the needs of others when the opportunity arises. Perhaps then we might have more of the public coming to see what is going on in our churches. Well, may God help us to become more like Jesus. May God bless these thoughts to us.